dependable people. This means people who understand and people you can turn to. Some kind of support group, whether it's Overeaters Anonymous, which you can find overeatersanonymous.org, or something else where you can call these people pretty much any time of the day or night when you need help, and you'll be there for them. Now, I wanted just to help people remember the 4 ideas. They spell mend, the word M-E-N-D. So if you want to mend your ways and change this pattern that may have been going on for decades, meditation, exercise, nourishment, and dependability. Meditate in the morning, exercise every day, nourish yourself the best that you know how without going on a diet or depriving yourself, and find people you can depend on. That should pretty much fix you up.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We're really talking about self-love here, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Michael Moore, Big Ol' Mike. I heard that he credits your work with helping him lose quite a bit of weight.
Yeah, he is so cool. I admire him so much. I know a lot of people don't. Sometimes I'll share this when I'm speaking, and people will either go, oh, that's so cool, or I think he ought to be deported. I happen to love the man myself. But anyway, he read my book, Fit From Within, and I met him a few years later. First, he reviewed it in Oprah's magazine, which was surprising and wonderful and fabulous. He was the celebrity book reviewer, and all the other books were political, Michael Moore type books, and there was Fit From Within. I was just overcome. But a couple of years ago at a little film festival here in New York City, I met him, and, as a fan, I kind of nervously went up to him and said, I wrote this book, Fit From Within, and I think you like it. And he said, oh, I can't believe I'm meeting you. And then he took his lapels and pulled his jacket apart and said, see how well I'm doing. And at that time, he had lost, I think, about 80 pounds, and I haven't seen him lately. I hope he's doing extremely well.
So what's the thing? What's the idea you gave him that got him so jazzed?
The one that he loves so much, while the Love Powered Diet is a full-sized, regular book that you sit down and read and dog-ear and underline, Fit From Within is little essays. A lot of my books are these little short essays. So Fit From Within has 101 essays of different prescriptive ideas for changing your food and your life. And the one that he loved so much was called Get Up, Get Dressed, Get Going. And whenever you're in this cycle, this binge eating cycle, or the no exercise cycle, or the I hate myself and I don't want to wash my face cycle, the only way to break that is to just get up, get dressed, and get out. Out there in the world is where your salvation is going to be. It's almost as if even God can't find you when you've got your head in the refrigerator. You get out and you start interacting with life, and all sorts of wonderful things happen. And I was so touched that was Michael Moore's favorite chapter, because I had heard him interviewed once, and he said that this thing that he does when he makes his movies and he sticks his microphone in the face of people who don't like him, he doesn't enjoy that. That's not fun. He just believes in what he's doing. And so I think for all of us, there are times when we just don't want to get out there, but we have to.
Okay. Very cool. So none of your books are really diet books.
No. I think dieting is just so awful, because I was put on diets my whole life. I was put on my first diet, I was probably 2 or 3 years old, because I was a chubby kid. My dad was a diet doctor. My mom worked in these places they used to call reducing salons with those belts and rollers and things. I was bad for business, and was just periodically put on diets my whole childhood, and I swore I would never go on another diet as soon as I was old enough. But as soon as I was old enough, I put myself on diets, and they were worse than the ones that my parents had put me on. So I don't believe in telling anybody else what to do, restricting somebody else's life. Obviously, I do write a lot about food in the Love Powered Diet, because the second half of the premise, it's the idea first, you have enough love for yourself that you change from the inside out, and that can lead to love for others and the planet. And then I do talk a lot about this plant-based diet, which can be such a wonderful way to keep your weight down, keep your health up and feel really good about yourself. But the truth is, there are a lot of people in recovery from compulsive overeating who do not eat the way I eat. I give people what I eat if they want to take it.
Seems pretty radical. I mean, especially, people that are on the go all the time. It's not like you can go to the McPlant fast food place. It's you gotta kind of. What do you do? How do you stay active and going and still keep this kind of a eating regimen?
Well, it's part of the spiritual thing, too. There are a lot of people, whether they're compulsive eaters or not, if they have any kind of dietary, what they would call limitation. And, they're not eating like most Americans, which is a pretty limited way to eat anyway. But and so they bring food with them, and they bring little coolers and things like that. I don't do that because I'm a compulsive overeater. If I've got food in my bag, I'm probably going to be thinking about the food in my bag. So I just let that go, and I just let my higher power come up with something to feed me. And I have never gone hungry. If I'm traveling, there's something at that airport, I'm just going to be okay. So for anybody, whether they're a compulsive eater or not, if they're interested in more of a plant-based diet, it's so much easier than it used to be. You want to make good choices when you're out. I mean, when you're at home, it's just super easy. Even if you never walk into a health food store, just at the regular supermarket, you can get soy milk, you can get tofu, you can get, obviously every kinds of vegetables and fruits and all that sort of thing. So it's pretty easy. You get a good cookbook, a good book. I don't have any recipes in the Love Powered Diet, but a book that I recommend that has some great recipes is called The Engine 3 Diet, which is all these firefighters in Austin, Texas, that went on this plant-based diet because one of the young firefighters had this horrible cholesterol and they thought he was going to die. So to save this guy, they all went on the plant-based diet. So they're great recipes in that book that very American, these are guys from Texas, it's not going to be what we sometimes think of as, girly vegan kind of food, although it's guy American vegan kind of food. So at home you're fine. When you're out, ethnic restaurants are fabulous because the cuisines around the world have all evolved to have certain vegetarian options. This is either for religious reasons or just cyclical reasons. Sometimes there's the rainy season or the dry season or the whatever, and it just makes sense to eat plant foods at certain times of the year. So if you go to a Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, Asian, Indian, Ethiopian. I love Ethiopian because they don't believe in forks and you get to wrap your food in this wonderful stretchy bread called injera. Mexican, even Italian. It's easy. You want to basically stay away from fast food if you absolutely would starve to death otherwise. If you're on a cross-country trip on an interstate, you can go to the Taco Bell and get a bean burrito minus cheese plus lettuce. There's always a way. Okay. Once you commit, there's a way to do what you need to do.
Any special nutritional considerations if somebody wants to go that route?
Yeah. If somebody is a complete vegan, if you go all the way to a completely plant-based diet, which so many nutritionists nowadays are saying, good idea, this really is a good idea. Within 3 years, you want to start supplementing with vitamin B12. And this is not as big a deal as it used to be because if you drink soy milk, that's all fortified with B12. But if you don't drink soy milk regularly or some kind of other foods every day that are fortified with B12, you want to get a little sublingual or chewable B12. Take 1 or 2 a week. The need for B12 is teeny, microscopic. But if you don't get it, it can lead to serious neurological damage. There's no B12 in the plant kingdom. It is believed that in nature and in history that we weren't so clean, and so we got B12, which is actually made by bacteria, from just kind of the dirt hanging on our food. Well, now we don't have the dirt anymore, so you do need to supplement with B12. Everybody, whether they're vegetarian or not, should probably be supplementing vitamin D. It's very difficult to get sufficient vitamin D for using calcium and keeping your bones strong if you live north of Atlanta. So, and particularly if you're very fair. So just get some vitamin D. Selenium is something that a lot of people are short on, and you can either get that as a supplement or just eat 20 Brazil nuts a month. I happen to like Brazil nuts, so that's an easy thing to do. And if you are a woman of childbearing years, get your hemoglobin tested every now and then and make sure that you're not anemic. There's less iron, obviously, in plant-based foods than in animal foods, but you can really up your iron if you get yourself a cast iron skillet, and particularly if you cook something acidic in there like your pasta sauce, that's going to up the iron a lot. Or if you eat iron-rich foods with citrus fruits, something acidic, that helps the absorption there too. And an interesting thing is if you are a man or if you're a postmenopausal woman, it's good not to get so much iron because too much iron is indicted as a cause of cardiovascular difficulties. So those are about the only things to really watch for. And so many people say, protein, what about protein? What about protein? Well, you can't even use protein. You have to break it down into amino acids. And when you look at it that way, you can see that the highest protein food per calorie on the planet is dark leafy greens. This is arugula, romaine, mustard greens, turnip greens, collards, all those kinds of foods. Some nutritionists now are saying that they are so jam-packed, not only with protein, but with so many kinds of nutrients and phytochemicals, that we should give them a whole separate classification, that they're not even really vegetables. They're like super vegetables. So eat your greens, take some B12, and enjoy your life.
So what do you eat every day?
Well, that depends.
Do you eat eggs anymore?
Do I eat eggs?
Yeah.
No. But I make things that taste like eggs. I make scrambled tofu. You can buy a product at the health food store called Tofu Scrambler. It comes in a box. You just mix it with tofu, kind of fills the bill there. And I can make an egg salad out of tofu. I make a different kind of egg salad based on cashew nuts. I mean, there's just all kinds of things that you can do. Basically, what I like to do, and it's interesting, I look at my abstinence from compulsive overeating as separate from my diet, because my abstinence from compulsive overeating is sacrosanct. That is just the way I live my life. My diet I can play with, I can experiment with, I can try this, I can try that and see what works. I can change with the seasons. So now that springtime is in New York City, I love to make fresh juice in the morning. When I make juice, especially if I put some of those leafy greens in it, like I might do apple, romaine, kale with some lemon. Oh, my gosh, that just makes me feel like I've had a transfusion of youthfulness. I'll drink that, then go to the gym. And then when I come back, I might have I like muesli. There's a brand you can buy called Familia, but I make it myself just out of raw oats and nuts and some dried fruit, and I soak that overnight in some soy milk or some almond milk, and then when I come back from the gym, I just slice some more fruit into it, apple or banana or pineapple, and have that, and that gets me through till lunchtime. And for lunch, I have a gargantuan salad. And it's so interesting because we always hear that, for weight maintenance, you want to keep your portions down. Well, yeah, keep your portions down if you're not eating food that is mostly water, which fruits and vegetables are. So I eat a ginormous salad. A few times my husband has said, that's the biggest salad I've ever seen, and I just want to punch him and say, yeah, well, it's greenery. I mean, think of cows. They're out grazing all day long. This is my one lunch. I'm eating it now. So I have a really big salad, often arugula. That's my favorite green, and whatever else I want to throw in there. And sometimes I get very energetic and make my own dressing, but the rest of the time I just use a little bit of Paul Newman's, and you do want to watch the dressing. You don't want to go crazy on the oil. And then at dinner time, I cook something, a vegetarian entree, maybe a bean-based entree, which may be baked beans and cornbread, or a lentil roast, or a tofu stir-fry. Nice, substantial kind of food. Another salad, just not so big, maybe a steamed vegetable. And, every now and then I'll even have some sorbet or some kind of little dessert thing. It's a good life. I am not suffering.
Your husband like it?
Yeah, he's good. My husband is a vegetarian. He became a vegetarian 2 weeks after we met. First he took me out.
I was going to say 2 weeks ago.
No, it's been 12 years now. He first took me out to a sports bar where he gave me two tests. He first made me wear a Kansas City Chiefs sweatshirt, which is bright red, and I was so embarrassed. And then he ordered this gargantuan steak. And I'm sitting there thinking, so what? I'm not going to marry the guy. And the next morning he called me and he said, okay, I'm never eating meat again.